Hey, good morning and welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walls and I'm your host. And today I have the CEO of Video Marketing World, Mr. Scott Simson, on the show. You guys are going to love this guy's story. You're going to love everything about him. So do yourself, your friends, your family, and me a favor and go ahead and share this video out to everybody you know, because this is going to be a life-changing interview. We'll see you in just a second. And we are back. Let me bring Scott on. Scott, welcome to the show.
Hey, Ken. Thanks for having me on your show. I'm excited to be here.
Dude, I'm excited to have you here, man. You and I just recently met, and I dig your energy, man.
Likewise.
You got good energy.
We connected. We're like this now.
We really did. We both have a lot of experience in video and video marketing and stuff, and we'll get into some of that. But, I started this show. It's been almost 4 years ago. I've interviewed over 400 celebrities and entrepreneurs. And, man, I'm telling you, I'm excited to hear your story. I really am. So we have some rock stars on right now joining us. Mr. Doug Wing.
What's up, Doug?
You know of his family, the Little Giant Ladder Company. Some amazing people joining us. So thank you guys. I appreciate all of you being here. And Scott, why don't we start with you telling everybody where you were born and raised?
All right. So I was born in Northern California, just up north of San Francisco in a small town called Santa Rosa. And I moved to Boise, Idaho when I was 7 years old. My dad transferred from Hewlett-Packard, moved us up to Boise, Idaho. And so I grew up in the mountains from 7 until I think I moved away when we were 25. Yeah. So all of most of my childhood and early adult life was in Boise. And if you've never been there, it's a great place to go. Just don't move there because you'll hate the traffic.
Because what?
You'll hate the traffic.
Oh, is it bad?
It's one of those places where they've grown so fast that the infrastructure just isn't quite there to manage all of the growth. And so anywhere you go, it takes forever. We still have family there, so we go there. We go there once or twice a year, and it's fun. But I don't know if I could live there again.
I've heard that it's beautiful, though.
It's gorgeous. It's amazing.
Well, and now you live in Dallas, and like the traffic in Dallas is like everybody is flying. I mean, yeah. I was like, I'm doing 80 miles an hour and people are passing me like I'm sitting still. I'm like, this is insane.
Yeah, we've got these like little Autobahn beltways here that are pretty awesome. But when you've got 6 or 7 million people living in this metro area, yeah, you got to have good infrastructure to really keep things moving. So we've gotten used to just, you can get from my house to downtown Dallas in about 30 minutes. And wow, that's pretty quick.
Yeah.
Pretty quick for metro.
It's insane. So talk about growing up in Idaho. I think that I always find it interesting. I think that childhood, there's always an event or series of events or a person or maybe more than one person that that shapes or shifts the direction that we end up taking as an adult. Does anything come to mind when I say that?
So my entire adulthood was shaped by my teenage years. And so my parents my mom and my dad were divorced when I was young, really young. And so there was, I grew up in Boise, but I'd visit my dad in California, and we go back and forth. When I was a teenager, I think that kind of took a toll on me, and I looked for attention in places that, weren't very good to look for attention in. And I got myself into a lot of trouble as a teenager. Actually got
Really?
expelled from high school twice. And the same high school. They let me back.
The same high school. Wow.
And I was always getting into things, and one of the very one of I was always entrepreneurial, but I was always kind of doing things in kind of a shady way. And so, for example, one of my very first entrepreneurial ventures was, we had a mobile lemonade stand, and rather than just putting setting up a lemonade stand, and with the sign and everything, and building out the boxes, we put it in a wagon. And what we'd do is we grabbed my parents' jug of peanuts, dry salted roasted peanuts, and we would give peanuts away for free, because the idea was like, okay, if we give them something that makes them thirsty, then we'll get them to spend whatever we want on our
Wow.
lemonade. So I was like always thinking outside of the box that way.
That's really smart, actually.
Yeah, we didn't sell too much lemonade because, we were mobile. And so we were like walking up to people in their driveway, and we're like, hey, you want some peanuts? And, give them some peanuts. And then rather than giving us money for lemonade, they just go inside their house. Whereas like when you're set up on a corner, it's location specific. They're not next to their house. They're stopping to support your lemonade stand. We didn't quite figure that out.
Wow.
But then in high school, I got into making fake IDs. And this was one of my very first businesses as well. I made fake IDs for a bunch of kids in our school, and I did them all in MS Paint, right? And I'm like, okay,
Wow.
we're gonna make this work. And I designed this template, and I'd print them off, and I'd give them to our kids at our school, and they worked. Nobody ever got in trouble except for me. And
Oh my
but
gosh.
this was kind of like my gateway into entrepreneurship. Now, obviously, as I've grown up, I've realized the difference between right and wrong and good and bad. But what's carried with me, what stuck with me, is my ability to think outside of the box in the way that I
Wow.
market, in the way that I create offers, in the way that I serve our clients and customer base. And it's worked out really well for us.
Wow. Ted says he made fake elevator passes.
Yes.
That's funny.
Yeah. Well, I just barely scratched the surface with some of the things I did. We probably shouldn't go too far into that, down that rabbit hole, but
Yeah, you're like, I'm not sure what the statute of limitations is, but
yeah.
oh my God.
We'll save that for another day.
Yeah. Well, Joe's already I mean, you're the CEO of video marketing world. I hope your lighting's on point.
That's right. Yeah. I had to go all out just so that way people think that I know what I'm talking about.
So you now this was during your teenage years.
Mhm.
Um and with the fake IDs, I mean, are you talking like fake driver's licenses?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, it was mostly so kids in our class could get into bars and get
Wow.
cigarettes
Wow.
as juniors and seniors in high school.
And this is in Boise.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Uh, So you got did you get like law enforcement in trouble or school specific in trouble?
A little bit both. Yeah, I had to go to court. And I remember when I was in front of the judge, he was holding up these IDs, and he's like, young man, these are really good. He's like, these are really good. You need to be taking that talent and doing something else with it. And I took
Wow.
that to heart. And now I consider myself one of the best thumbnail designers for YouTube thumbnails in the world.
Yeah.
But it all kind of stemmed from my ability to really like think creatively outside of the box,
Yeah.
all starting with fake IDs.
Wow. That's incredible, man.
Yeah.
So when so we'll talk about what you look
And I
thank
don't condone that. I don't
I,
condone that to any kids who are watching this.
thank you,
If
Your
there are
Honor.
any
Now
teenagers.
I make fake
Oh
passports.
my goodness. Yeah, yeah, no joke.
So you took that and what did you do from there? I mean, so you got in trouble. I can relate. I may or may not have stood in front of a juvenile judge or two, or
Several.
maybe three. But so you took that and what did you do with it from there? Did you end up going to college?
I went to college. I actually went to college on a pre-dental track because I thought, I want to I want to get I want to be successful, and dentistry seemed like one of those things where it was like, okay, you can have a normal job and make a higher level of income as a dentist. So I went to Boise State University, and was on their pre-dental track. And then 2 years in, I just decided, this isn't for me. And I really liked entrepreneurship, and my wife and I were married at that time. And I thought, well, maybe we can just start a business and go from there. And we did. And we actually started 7 businesses over the course of our first 7 years being married. Every single one of those was a complete and utter failure. But what we learned from each of those failures has taken us to where we are today. And there
Right.
were lessons, and I made a Facebook post about it a couple of years ago. There were lessons from every single one of those business failures that we now have incorporated into our business model today, because we know all the things not to do. And so it was like, eventually it's just a matter of time before you figure out what to do, because all of the things not to do, you have already tried all those things, and they don't work. So you finally kind of get yourself to a place where you're doing things the right way and things start to work out for you.
I had the privilege to I mean, we hung out in Dallas. We went to
Yeah.
dinner with Glenn and Brad Leland, which was fun. Um, and I I'm not going to tell you to reveal your age to everybody, but I was like shocked actually at your age. I was shocked. I
How
still am.
how old I am?
Yeah. It's shocking. Because you definitely don't look your age at all. You look like you're maybe 29 or 30.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm 37. And I get that quite often, but I hang out. I've got 4 kids. They keep me young. My oldest is almost 16, and she keeps me young. And I play ultimate frisbee every week with a bunch of kids. And so I'm constantly surrounded by kids, which really for them, they're like, man, this guy acts our exact age. So it's fun for them. And
Yeah.
for me, everybody's kind of like, what's this old guy hanging out with these teenagers for? But
Yeah.
but I have a good time. I've done a lot of church leadership with our youth, and
Yeah.
I get along. I feel I connect really well with the younger audience, and so I feel like it's that's that stage in life right now that I'm
Yeah.
at. But
Yeah.
I'm sure it's all going to catch up to me in the next few years. I'll probably start looking older.
Do you say things like, "Oh, that was so cringe"?
Cringe. So my kids, I say all the words my kids say. So they're always like, bruh. And I'm like, bruh. And so I call my daughters bro, because they call me bro, and my son call him bro. Everybody's bro in our house. I don't.
My 11-year-old daughter calls me bro. Bro.
Yeah.
I'm like, "What? Don't call me bro. I'm your dad." But
I know.
so back to so how okay, so you went to college.
Yep. Yeah. I went for 2 years.
Okay.
I ended up finishing. I was like, I'm going to leave school, but I'm not going to leave empty handed, because I spent all this money and got in all this debt. And so I finished my associate's degree, which really amounts to just about nothing nowadays. And then I was like, you know what? I'm jumping right into entrepreneurship. And our first business that we started was a company called griphealth.com. And I have no idea if it's even a thing anymore. I haven't looked in it in years, but griphealth.com. And our goal was to sell vitamins and supplements from this website and fulfill orders all over our neighborhood.
Wow.
This is how like rookie we were. This was in 2000, I think it was 2005. And I'm like, okay, we're going to start a website. We need a website presence. And so I built out this website, and I think I did it in like Word. It wasn't WordPress. It was way before WordPress. It was, I don't know. I coded it all in HTML, put it up there, put all of our products on there. And I was like, all right, we're launching today. Here we go. And I hit the launch button and crickets. Like nobody ordered anything, obviously, because we didn't have a marketing plan.
Right.
And so I threw this website up there thinking like, if it's on the internet, it's going to work because it's the internet, the World Wide Web. And so nobody bought. And so what we ended up doing was paying some kids, some neighbors, $20 to just take flyers to everybody in our neighborhood. And I was like, what is the purpose of a website if we're just sending flyers to everybody in our neighborhood? So ultimately, long story short, that business completely failed. I still have vitamins and supplements in my vitamin cabinet that are 16 years old. I'm sure they're past their expiration, but
that was 05, you said? 05?
Yeah, it was 05. Mm-hmm.
Wow, dude.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Too many people, that's the entrepreneurial dream, right? Like build it and they will come. Like just build it. And really, there's not much else you have to do from that point. You're going to just retire wealthy very quickly.
Yeah. Well, and we were kids at the time. This was pre-social media. We didn't know anything about email marketing. We didn't know anything about, I don't even know if they were, if Google was even, I mean, I'm sure Google was advertising, but it was like way beyond us. Like we have to put money into ads to get people to come to us, and we have to figure out a cost of customer acquisition. And like, we weren't even thinking about that. It was just like, my thought was, we buy a product wholesale, we sell it at retail. We make $2 a box. And like, we only have to sell 1,000 of these boxes in order to make $2,000. Yeah. Little did I know that was way more difficult than we had ever anticipated.
And this is you and your wife.
Yeah. My wife and I. Uh-huh.
Wow. So that failed. That we don't even have to go. It couldn't have taken very long, especially if you were young.
Yeah, months.
So where did you go from there? I mean, okay, so then you had all these vitamins. Mm-hmm. I can't believe you kept them. That must have been just to remind you, don't do that again.
Yeah. I should take a picture. I've got a medicine cabinet full of some of this stuff still. Wow. And it's I'm sure it's like just like sludge now, but wow. From there I was in my early 20s. My wife and I got married when we were 20 years old, so we were just babies when we got married. Wow. And from there I started working in insurance. I got a real job, started working as an insurance agent. And I used the insurance agency to help me just to cover our bills while I worked on other ventures. And so we were in, I had a company that was called Boise Equity Solutions, where I would go and talk to struggling homeowners and try and get them to sell us our house at a discount, their house at a discount, so we could turn and flip it. I was working for a real estate agent. And then I got my Series 7 and 66 licenses so I could do financial securities. And I started a financial services business when I was 22 years old. And as you can imagine, that was a failure because nobody wants to trust a kid with their money, with their retirement. Plus, this was now 2007, 2008, and the market crashed. And I was like, I got to get out of here. So there was a lot of these like little businesses. I'm like, I think I can do this. I think I can do that. Real estate, insurance. We started a competitive company to Redbox called Mega Movie Box, where we bought a bunch of DVD vending machines. Again, massive failure. And but then that led us, like everything led us to Oh, it led us you're gonna laugh at this. I share this story and people kind of find it interesting. When Mega Movie Box failed, that was one of our biggest failures. We lost, I think, $60,000 in when that
Ouch.
failed, and we were kids, and that was all equity. It was
Ouch.
equity in our house right before the crash.
Oh,
So
dude.
so we took a bunch of equity out, invested in this company. The market crashed, the business failed, and we were like, "What are we gonna do now?" And we had read like every personal development book that you read back then. Think and Grow Rich, As a Man Thinketh, Rich
Yeah.
Dad Poor Dad. I mean, we read all of the main books. And my wife and I were like, all right, we're struggling right now. We have zero money in our bank account. Let's write a book.
Oh my God.
So
Wow.
this was crazy. So we did this a little bit differently than we did anything else. Everything else was very public, where it's like, hey, we're doing this business, come and support us. Hey, we're doing this business, come and support us. And when we decided to write the book, we were humbled, right? We had just eaten a big slice of humble pie because our business failed and everybody was looking at us, and probably a lot of people were laughing at us and pointing fingers. But we knew that in order to be successful, we had to set goals, we had to have a vision, and we had to be consistent in walking towards that vision. And so we wrote this book. It's called Fox in the Mountain. Let's see if I got a copy around here. I do, but it's buried. It was called Fox in the Mountain. It's a children's book. And it's about this fox and his journey to the top of this mountain, where there's this fruit at the top of the mountain that's better than any fruit anywhere in the valley. But to get there, he's got to face trials and tribulations and struggles, and he runs into characters that are trying to talk him down and talk him out of wanting to go up to the top of this mountain. And it's all very representative of the things that we experienced on our journey to what we perceived as the top of the mountain, and the people that we would run into and the situations that we would face. And so we wrote this book, this children's book, and we paid a friend from high school to illustrate it. And we told nobody. There were three of us, two families that knew. It was our family and then the illustrator's family. Nobody else knew. And so we wrote it. It took months to get it illustrated, and then by then we had saved up some money, and then we went to China and found a Chinese printing company, and they printed us 1,000 copies of the book. Um, and we got this book, and then we announced it after that. And what's crazy is we really didn't sell a whole lot of copies of this book, maybe a few hundred copies. I still have, I think, 400 or 500 here under this bed, and it's been years and years and years. But but
Wow.
what was crazy about this was it was like our ultimate vision board. It was like we took a chance, we wrote this book, and it literally became the roadmap to all of our success in life. And we reference this book all the time, and it has become like it was like our treasure map. We followed we knew what we needed to do. We wrote it all down. We printed it in a book, and then we followed that plan step by step to where we are now.
Wow.
And so we wrote that book when we had $3 in our account. And so I think
Wow.
that my point in saying this is, like, anybody who's watching at home, like, whatever struggle you're having right now, you are still in a place where you can receive inspiration, and you can write out your goals, write out your plan, and you can get on the right path to success no matter where you're at. Even if you
Amen.
have $60,000 in debt and $3 in your bank account, you can get on that path right this second, because we did. And we were just, I was just a kid who got expelled from high school and, and screwed up our
Right.
business a number of times, like anybody
But
can do this.
so couple of questions I have. Number one, do foxes really eat fruit?
I
Like,
have no idea, but
I'm sitting here
but it
thinking,
sounded
do
good.
foxes? It sounded good, but so you go through these failures, and I normally bring this up towards the end, but I'll bring it up now. My wife and I started our very. I met we were obviously a little bit older when we met, um, and we started our first office, and I don't know, 6 months or a year into it, we had a handful of employees, And one day this guy walks in my office and he's like, hey, boss. And he's this big dude that worked for me. There's some dude out in the parking lot looking in the windows of your SUV. I'm like, well, then tell him to get the hell out of here, dude. You're bigger than I am. And he's like, well, he's blocked with his tow truck. And I was like, oh no, everybody was getting paid except us and the bank. And
Yeah.
so, you know, that was a moment in my life at whatever, 45 years old, whatever I was then, where I was like, what's the point? Like, this is crazy. Like, my car just got repoed in front of my employees. That sucked.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
bad. And you know, how do you go through all of those challenges, you personally and your wife? How did you go through all of those financial challenges, number one, and maintain a good credit score, which I didn't? Number two, like, maintain your sanity, because it's hard, it's very difficult.
Yeah, there were a lot of like challenges that my wife and I had in our marriage at the time. Obviously, like when emotions run high, when finances are tight and emotions are running high, you say things that you don't mean, and you react instead of you're reactive instead of proactive. And so there was a lot of that went on. But my wife and I made a commitment when we got married that this is forever. We're not, no matter what, like
Yeah,
we're in this together forever.
yeah,
And she stuck through me, stuck with me through thick and thin.
yeah,
And I think that having very candid, open, honest conversations and not hiding things from your spouse is really important. So that way you can work through things together. And that's really what we did. One of the other things, we were just talking about this yesterday, actually, is everybody who is successful knows without a doubt that they're meant for greatness.
yeah.
And they always achieve it at some point or another. It's the people who move forward 10 steps, then go back 9 because they're afraid, or they move forward 10 steps and then pivot because they feel like they're looking at somebody over here, thinking that they're doing it better, and constantly moving around or doubting themselves. Those are the people that quit. And I don't say fail, I say quit, because if you don't quit, you won't fail.
That's
If you
right.
never quit, you're never gonna fail. And everybody from the outside might look at you, and you look like a failure. I mean, how many times has Grant Cardone stumbled? How many times, I know this is polarizing. How many times did Donald Trump stumble? Right?
Yeah.
How many times has any massively successful millionaire, billionaire stumbled or gone bankrupt or had to restart from scratch? They do it over and over and over again. And the reason that they're successful is because they know within themselves that they are meant for greatness. And if you feel that way, if you truly feel that way, then get at it. Like, go after it. And if you don't feel that way, then work on doing the things to change your mind so that way you do feel that way. Because no matter what industry you're in, whether it's real estate or just changing tires, right? You can be a mega millionaire as a tire changer. Like it's possible. You just have to think right. And
Yep.
if you think right, then you'll get on that path eventually.
I last night logged into Cardone University, Grant's thing, and that I pay for every month, and I was at the 2019 growth conference that Grant had, and he had Steve Harvey there. And Steve Harvey, there was not a dry eye in the audience. Not it was unbelievable. He
Yeah.
talked about how he lived in his car for 3 years.
Yeah.
The dude's worth over 200-300 million dollars now, right?
Hmm.
He flies private, period. He doesn't fly any other way.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
know, and but you know, he told this story about, if you put enough, passion into it, like you really love what you do, and he talked about a guy in Cleveland where he grew up that cuts grass and
Yeah.
makes $4 million a year
Yep.
cutting
Yep.
grass. So it's like there's no excuse. So I love that answer. My wife is on here, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So Scott, I eventually I want to get to the fun stuff because it's literally after my heart, man. Eventually you found your stride, so to speak.
Yeah.
And talk a little bit about that, because you had a bunch of failures that led to another failure that led to another one, and then eventually you found your way. Talk about that. What happened?
So there's a thing, that I think of as the power of consistency. If you're consistent in what you do for long enough, you'll become the expert of that thing, and then you can market yourself in a completely different way than you can when you're just starting something. And this is one of those things that I think like every real estate agent should hear, because there's a lot of real estate agents that are brand new in the real estate industry, and they're trying to market themselves as an expert, and they're not quite there yet.
Yeah.
And so whereas like there are people who have been working in the industry for 10, 15, maybe even 5 years, and they develop a knack for working with a specific type of client. And a lot of times those people who are massively successful will zero in on one category, one niche, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they will become the master of that niche. There's power in being the brain surgeon of your industry. Like, you think about a brain surgeon versus a general practitioner. They both go to medical school. One just stays in residency longer. The person who stays in residency longer, the brain surgeon, ends up making 10 to 15 times the amount as the general practitioner, because they are the expert of that industry.
Yep.
Or of that field. And so what I'd say to anybody who's thinking about wanting to take their business to the next level, or really wanting to be successful, it's like zero in on that niche and hyper focus on that very specific niche and serve a very specific audience.
Yeah.
The more specific you go, the higher you can charge, because you're the master of that category. So I think when we fell in stride, when we really took the things that we were doing seriously. Like when we started on YouTube in 2014, it was more of a hobby, and we did it for years, and it was really a hobby. In 2017, I was like, I'm taking this seriously. And in 2017, we went from, I think, 10,000 subscribers to over 100,000 subscribers in less than a year, because we started doing all of the things that we needed to do in order to grow the audience on YouTube. And then as soon as we were looked at as an experts on YouTube, every door possible just started opening up. Now we get calls, it's like Alex Hermosi. I get introduced to Alex Hermosi when he had 5,000 subscribers, and we just broke 200,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel in like 8 months.
Wow.
And then that opens more doors, and you get more connections. So the power of consistency, I'd say, is probably the thing that really helped us get to really get in stride.
My wife said, great point. How did that look for you, taking it seriously? Yeah.
So I think that when you do something as a hobby, you are you're all right. You're telling yourself you're all right if you just take things in stride and learn as you go. And that's great. And that's fine. Like if you have no desire to turn your hobby into a career, or to turn it into $1 million, that's totally fine. But when you make that step from hobby to business, there are things that you should be doing in order to take that in order to take it seriously. So like for number one, we started networking with people who were other YouTubers and started doing more collaborations with people. So that way we could learn from them, they could learn from us, we could work together and start creating content together. We started building out a business and taking our taxes seriously, or the business side of things seriously, so that way we could have more tax write-offs. We started reading our analytics differently, so that way we could know what our metrics told us about our audience and about our content, so that we can make micro changes in our content to keep people on our videos for longer, or get them to watch one video and then immediately watch another one and another one and another one after that. So there were a lot of things. I think we just studied our category a bit more and made it more of a I guess made it more of a business than a hobby. Does that make sense?
So yeah, absolutely it does. And so you took, I mean, there, how do I word this? There are a lot of people that would love to take YouTube seriously, right? And develop a huge following. I told you, I know people, you know people, I know people with millions and millions of followers on YouTube that are making millions and millions a year off of those subscribers from the YouTube ads. There's a lot of people. For somebody that says, all right, I'm the you probably know about the woman in Mexico, do you know about the old grandma in Mexico that just started cooking on the stone oven? And
yeah, I think it's
yeah,
oh my gosh, I know. I talk about it all the time. I can't think of the name right now, though.
I don't speak Spanish, but I love watching this old lady cook, man. It's phenomenal. And she has millions of followers on YouTube. And it was just one day she was like, let's just start cooking. And I think it was her granddaughter that encouraged her to do it. And so, there are people that, and my dear friend Jamie Green just jumped on here, and she's like, I know her. She's the solar queen in California, and she's really worked on growing her YouTube channel and get to the 1,000, that magical number they give you where you can start monetizing and stuff. But what's the first step you would tell somebody they need to take if they really want to start taking YouTube seriously and building something with it?
The first step is to plan for the long haul, because YouTube is a marathon. And it takes months and months and months, even if you're doing things perfectly right. The Hispanic lady who cooks, she's an outlier. Like, you don't get on YouTube and in 2 days have 100,000 subscribers. That's a complete outlier. What the typical journey looks like is you get on YouTube, you figure out how to shoot, then you start creating content, and then you find your audience, but then you kind of move with your audience. So if they have questions, you make content on that. It's very community oriented, and if you work with your community, the faster you'll grow. So if you build relationships with your community, the faster things will move. But YouTube it's a long haul. You got to settle in, and if you don't have a plan in place ahead of time, it'll take even longer, because that's where you look to the left, you look to the right, you see what they're doing and what they're doing, and you start emulating them. If you can be authentic and find your own voice, then YouTube will grow faster as well.
So when you took it serious, what kind of a YouTube channel did you have? Like mechanics, how to fix a carburetor, or?
No. So our channel was a family vlog. It was a family channel, and we started as personal development channel, and then we're like, let's incorporate the rest of the family, and then just show people how we live, so that way we can live by example, and they can learn by the things that we're doing and how we're talking to our kids, and the discussions and conversations that my wife and I are having about success and things like that. And so we brought our kids in, and then we would travel and we do all sorts of fun stuff together. But what I really discovered was that for a number of years, our channel had become kind of a copycat of what other people were doing. And myself, like whenever I get on video, I'd act completely different than I normally do as an authentic, as authentic Scott. I would turn on, YouTube Scott, and it just became very inauthentic. If you watch some of our early stuff, it's not me at all. I just acted that way because I thought that's how you had to act on YouTube. But as soon as I turned that off and became a more serious dad who talked about serious things and had serious conversations with kids, but then also was fun and engaging, then people really started to fall in love with me and our family, and our community started to grow very rapidly. So authenticity is also a major factor in any social media growth.
Agree 1,000,000%. I talk about it all the time. I'm trying to get the words out. Like I like you just said everything I would have said. Like you've got to be real. You got to be authentic. You can't be, because people detect it too. Like
100%.
They detect it, and it
especially now, like the next generations that are coming up, they know what's real and what's fake.
Yep.
And they're calling it out like crazy. And what's fascinating is that, and I draw this comparison all the time. You've got Maybelline New York is a company. It's a sub company of L'Oreal, and L'Oreal is $1 billion company. Maybelline New York has a massive marketing budget. They have 300,000 subscribers on their YouTube channel. They just can't crack the code and blow up their YouTube channel. Whereas then you have Nikki Tutorials, who has like 13 or 14 million subscribers. Nikki Tutorials. She does makeup tutorials.
Okay.
She's blown up this channel doing the same things that L'Oreal or that Maybelline New York wants to do on their channel. It's just makeup tutorials and talking about makeup and how to look good and feel good. But she's an authentic human, and she has 14 million subscribers versus 300,000 subscribers from Maybelline New York. That's the power of authenticity. People want to come to YouTube as humans looking for a human experience, not looking for the ideal, an idealistic, I am perfect type of an experience. They want, hey, this person could be my friend. And if you make them your friend on YouTube, you can explode a YouTube channel.
And this is a perfect time to take a break for our sponsor, Maybelline of New York.
Get that money.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. But it's so true. And I analyze business Facebook pages often. And I see, I'll bring up one, Kohl's, multi-billion-dollar corporation, and their Facebook presence sucks. It's really, really bad. And I think they leave it up to each individual store manager to manage their pages. And, you'll see a post every 2 or 3 or 4, 5 days, and they're just, all about, here's our sale, come and take advantage of our sale. And it's like, no, you guys are doing it all wrong.
Yeah.
But, how do you convince, and Jamie says that's the difference between personal branding versus corporate branding. How would you, if you were sitting in front of the CEO of Maybelline, what would you say to him or her or whoever it is? What would you say, like, to wake them up?
Well, have you ever seen Wendy's Twitter account? You ever follow Wendy's on Twitter?
No.
You need to follow them. They're
headquartered here.
They do social media right. At least on Twitter. Oh my gosh. Yeah, they're hilarious. They're great. And they build a conversation, they build a community, people rally behind them. They roast people all the time. And they roast their competitor. They roast McDonald's, they roast Burger King. It's very like it's like a meme oriented type of content, but they crush it. That's what I would point to. That's what I'd say. I'd say you need to build a relationship with your audience, and you got to stop hiding behind a logo. You need to have one spokesperson who is raw, real, and human, not somebody reading off a teleprompter, not somebody who's memorized lines, but somebody who can be the spokesperson for your YouTube channel and engage a community. Otherwise, you're just going to be creating more noise and not bringing anything back to you. That's Allstate was another one they've got a really small YouTube channel. And it's mostly just them sharing their ads, right? It's like, no, have somebody who's creating content, sharing, interviewing people who were in car accidents and how grateful they were that Allstate was there, or somebody who had storm damage, but it's like, have one host that can be real and raw and authentic, and who is taking control of this corporate brand. And that's what I think most corporations are deathly afraid of, is giving that amount of control over to somebody who is too authentic.
Which is insane, because it's the exact opposite would happen for them. Like Shaka says, Wendy's is awesome on Twitter. They're the 50 Cent of restaurants on social media.
Yeah, they're incredible. Incredible.
I gotta check that out. And they're right here. They're headquartered here in Columbus. So you're saying that, is there a line though that they could cross and take it too far on YouTube?
You mean like with authenticity?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There are people that are way too authentic on YouTube where you're just like, what are you doing to yourself?
Right.
Like I remember when we were first when we were really starting to figure it out on YouTube, and when we had some other acquaintances that were also doing the same stuff, same type of content, and we started to grow and they didn't. And I remember looking at their content, and it was overly emotional type of content where you're just kind of like, this is way too dramatic. Like, nobody is going to want to be in this community because it's so much drama. And so there are layers that you definitely want to like not peel back. I usually say, like, peel back a couple layers, let them in, let them know who you are, what you stand for, and some things about you personally, but don't let them in to like your dinner table conversations, things that get serious and could really like position you in a bad way. There is definitely an extent to the branding, and usually like when our clients will get that way, I'll have them pull back and I'll be like, hey, we're going to edit this out because I think you say this in a way that could be perceived wrong. We need to remove that. It's great and authentic, but it's just a little bit too far. And so we're very like mindful of those things when we're helping with branding.
I've seen, there's a lot of prank channels.
Yeah.
I mean, it's every day somebody wants to do a new prank channel, and some of them are good. They're, I forget what some of them are that Steven, I forget his name now, but they're funny. Some of them are really funny because they're authentic, they're real. But some of them you can tell this is all made up. It's not real. Like, the entire thing, everybody knew what was getting ready to happen. Like, and I'm sure that you encourage people not to do that. Like, keep it real.
So yes and no. Like, it depends on the circumstances. So we have some clients that will do storytelling type of content, and you and I talked about this at dinner. And if there's not really a great story in there, we'll have them ad lib things in to try and make it a better story, to try and keep people hooked for longer. And so, yes, I say, add things in to help sensationalize the content to keep people hooked. But I would never say, let's fake an entire video. There's a market for that. I mean, that's just fictional content. It's just like what you see on television. There are people who just make up stuff and for entertainment value, and that's totally fine. But I think that when you're trying to build an authentic brand, it's really easy to get called. If you fake something, you will be called out, and it's easy to cross that line
Yeah.
and then have people lose the trust. We
Yeah.
work with business owners, and so the know, like, and trust factor is extremely important to our people. And if you fake something that looks weird, you can lose that instantly, and it takes a long time to get that credibility back.
Yep. I totally agree. Totally agree. So you went into this you got serious in 2017 with your YouTube channel. Where are things now? What are you doing now?
So we were full-time YouTubers from 2017 to 2019, and then YouTube had what was called Admageddon.
Yeah.
And so YouTube, for any content that was questionable, even if it wasn't questionable, if they were is in a category that was questionable, then they pulled the revenue from that or made it really difficult to monetize that content.
Yeah.
And so we went from, making X amount of money to about 10% of X amount of money, all in the span of a couple of months. And my
Wow.
wife and I, at that point, that was all that we were doing. And so we're like, hey, if we want to continue growing, then let's go back to our roots and get back into business, get back into the books, and start working with business owners and teaching them how to use YouTube to grow their business. So we bought Video Marketing World, or we bought a percentage of Video Marketing World in 2019. We ran the conference in 2019. It was incredible. And then we just developed our YouTube agency from there. And now we work with some of the biggest some of the biggest influencers in the world, helping them build their brand on YouTube. And it's been incredible.
That's awesome, dude. That's so
Yeah.
awesome. So and for anybody that would want to reach out to you and talk to you about, working with you, is that through this graffiti.com?
Yeah, so this is our agency. This is our YouTube agency, graffiti.com. You can go
Yeah.
there and fill out the form, or you can just DM me on Instagram or Facebook. My Facebook or my Instagram is I am Scott Simson, and that's Simpson without a P. So they can find me, or they can just email me at scott@graffiti.com.
Yeah. So Scott, let me ask you, and this is, your based on your opinion. Now the number one, I ask everybody this question. The number one answer is fear. So you have to do better than that.
Okay.
Um, so what do you think stops people from experiencing, number one, real financial success? And number two, this is the same question, but experiencing freedom and real happiness in life. And I do think they're related. I think because I've been broke and I've been wealthy, and wealthy's better. So talk about what you think is stopping most people from really making it in life.
I think it's belief in themselves. Over fear. I think that it's self-doubt that holds everybody back, and comfort. Like, comfort holds people. Like, comfort is so um it's such a powerful tool, or a powerful motivating factor, is
Yeah.
stepping outside of the comfort zone. It's like, as soon as you do that and you start taking some risks, that's when this tidal wave of doubt comes in. Doubting your abilities, doubting the market, doubting what you're capable of. I think that um personal belief is such a incredible tool that we should be focusing on teaching our next generation of children, is how to believe in themselves, and not necessarily have to believe in a system, right? Because it's like, you think about it,
Yeah.
from the day that kids are born, or the day they enter daycare or whatever. It's They have belief in, they take comfort in a system, whether that's daycare, then it's elementary school, then it's high school, and it's getting good grades, right? It's like, what does a good grade actually teach you? What does that actually do for you in life? I got C's and D's, and we're massively successful. And I know a lot of people who went to incredible schools and got A's, straight A's, and honor roll and dean's list, and they're not really doing a whole lot of anything. And I think that taking our belief away from a system and putting it into ourselves is extremely powerful.
Wow. What steps can people take? Well, I mean, where if somebody has a, I mean, I've been there. I mean, you've been there. We've all been there where you're like, well, that didn't work out. I suck, and everything about owning a business sucks. And like, like where do they start? Where does somebody start to have that shift?
Reading books that help you think outside of the systems that you are a part of. I mean, one of the greatest books that we've ever read was Think and Grow Rich, followed up by As a Man Thinketh. James Allen, that book is like this big, it's teeny.
Yeah.
And what he packs into those pages is so incredible. And it completely changed our life. There are hundreds of these old books. And I say read the old ones, because those were the original principles, and the newer ones that just share the old principles, they're typically written to try and sell you on a course or something.
Yeah.
So I like reading As a Man Thinketh, Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends and Influence People, The Greatest Salesman in the World. These are all incredible books. My favorite modern day book is Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson. It's a phenomenal book. I think you got it on your shelf back there. I can see it. Incredible. Yep. Yeah, incredible. But I would say working on changing the way that you think is step number one. If you don't change the way that you think, then you're always going to fall back to the belief systems and thoughts that you have always had. So changing the way that you think is step number one, and surrounding yourself with people that think the way that you want to think is step number two. That's harder to do because you have to be able to offer them something for people who are more successful than you to want to hang out with you. But surrounding yourself with people who are high achievers is another thing. In eliminating things, people, sources of news, anything in your life that drags you back down to your comfort zone or to the systems that you're trying to break free from, just getting rid of those in your life. That's really hard. That's really hard.
Totally agree, man. Totally agree with you. That's awesome. So, Scott, you're unbelievable, man. And Charles just pointed out that you have a free YouTube channel blueprint for free on your website. Mm-hmm. It's incredible.
Yeah, that's good too. It's like 55 pages and it's like solid. It's got really great tips and advice.
That's awesome, dude. I think that everybody on here should definitely go follow Scott on social media everywhere. And reach out to Scott. Like he knows what he's talking about. And obviously, Scott, you rock, dude. Thank you. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your wisdom with everyone.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate the opportunity. I always love doing stuff like this and sharing some of the things that I've learned. It's, hopefully my goal is that through my story that maybe somebody will have an epiphany and be like, oh, that's what I need to do in order to get to that next level. So hopefully we had somebody here today who can say that.
And it's not, YouTube's not the only avenue, right? Like this is what you're talking about can be applied to
marketing,
multiple areas of life.
It's just, it's just marketing, and everything is marketing. From the way that you order your lunch to the people that you talk to at church, to your colleagues, and everything is marketing. How are you marketing yourself? YouTube is just an extension of you. It's just a way that you can create a relationship or community. That's not what that's not my main focus. My focus is on helping people develop communities and become more successful in their businesses by reaching more people in an authentic way.
Amen. Amen. What's your YouTube channel called?
It's Scott and Camber. Camber is amber with a C in front of it.
Camber.
Yeah, so you can go and check out a bunch of our older content. We got 1,000 videos that we produce. So
wow,
lots of stuff.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. My wife said you definitely help more than one for sure. So thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. Everybody, make sure you go follow Scott. Scott Simson, you rock, brother. Thank you for being here. And hang on. I'm going to end the live stream. Everybody have a great day. Scott, thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.